Alright, so this is the video I was planning to make before the Mike Babcock news broke about Ohio State. The Buckeyes getting a win 63-10 over Western Kentucky. I do feel like this game was a lot more along the lines of the expectations on how they would look against some of these weaker opponents from the national media and from the fan base, and most likely internally as well. Before the game, you had Ryan Day announcing that Kyle McCord would be the starting quarterback moving forward. I feel like watching the deployment of the quarterbacks in the first two games, that was pretty obvious, as Devin Brown only got 6 snaps against Indiana, and while he did appear more in week 2 against Youngstown State, still not as often as Kyle McCord did. So not a surprise at all that Kyle McCord is going to be the guy moving forward. So the beginning of the game was a little bit concerning. The Buckeyes got a quick touchdown on their first offensive drive. However, that was followed by the defense allowing a prolonged drive that they did eventually get a 4th down stop on. Ohio State actually getting a little bit lucky with Western Kentucky kind of shooting themselves in the foot on offense. You had Kyle McCord losing a strip sack and Western Kentucky getting a field goal out of that one when they maybe could have gotten a touchdown on that drive if it weren't for, self-inflicted wounds by the Hilltoppers. Ohio State would answer with another touchdown drive, but Western Kentucky would get one of their own. We have a 14-10 game, and it looked like it was going to be kind of another blag game against not a great opponent heading into Notre Dame week. And then the Buckeyes putting up 28 unanswered points in the final 8 minutes of the second quarter, led by the passing attack of Kyle McCord. You had Emeka Egbuka get a couple touchdowns in there. Chip Trayanum with a huge touchdown run. Marvin Harrison Jr. getting a 75-yard touchdown reception. None of those things are all that surprising in a vacuum, but when you stack them on top of each other, it definitely was an offensive explosion there. So they went into the half up 42-10, and the rest of the game was essentially a formality. Devin Brown did play in the fourth quarter, so if you're like, oh, well, Devin Brown, if he's the backup quarterback, he got in. Well, yeah, usually backups get in the game when it's the fourth quarter and you're already up big and you're playing against not the best opponent in Western Kentucky. He got usual backup quarterback reps in this one. There is still hope for Devin Brown, in my opinion, as a long-term project, as the quarterback of the future, as his touchdown pass to Carnell Tate showed, but I doubt he's getting another starting chance at the starting quarterback job this year. That will only happen if either Kyle McCord gets injured or if he just looks absolutely terrible against Notre Dame. Besides either of those two things happening, I think Devin Brown is likely going to be riding the pine for the majority of the season. Maybe that sends him to the transfer portal, or maybe he chooses to wait it out. Either way, I feel like Kyle McCord is the obvious choice moving forward. So on defense, we did see some more dynamic plays. You had 2 defensive touchdowns in the second half. Again, that beginning of the game where Western Kentucky was getting some prolonged drives and putting up 10 points, that is a little bit concerning. You definitely want to see them get off to a bit of a hotter start there. Denzel Burke continues to be impressive, at least in my opinion. There were, he had a couple iffy moments here and there, but in my opinion, Denzel Burke really stepping up this year. Although I do think there are some valid concerns about the majority of the secondary. We've seen some of these lower tier teams and their wide receivers have some decent games here. And this was the final tune-up game. There's no more margin for error, or there's no more we can, fix this up against the worst team next week, as we're going to find out a lot about what this Buckeye team has against Notre Dame. Can the offensive line hold up under all the new changes? Can the defensive line create sustained pressure? Can Kyle McCord make the throws that we saw him make against Western Kentucky? Can he make them on the road against an opponent like Notre Dame, where the pressure is going to be cranked up to 100? You know that the crowd for Notre Dame is going to be absolutely nuts for that game coming up. Basically, everything besides the offensive skill positions are kind of going to be up in the air. As we know, we've seen the running back room and the wide receiver room for Ohio State, and even the tight ends they're still playing at a high level, but everything else kind of up in the air for this game. But I do feel like Western Kentucky, what we saw from them, certainly a positive sign for some of the answers of those questions. So that's going to be it for this video. Just a quick recap of this game and a lot of looking forward to next week against the Fighting Irish. But thank you for watching. If you made it this far into the video, leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed and you would like to see more like it, and I'll see you at the next one.